When a Sigma male goes silent, it's not confusion, it's calculation. His quiet isn't weakness, it's warning. The same man who once listened, helped, and tolerated now observes, detaches, and plans his next move in silence. People think they've won when he stops responding. They have no idea he's already done with the game. Sigma's silence is never random. It's his strategy, a reset button that removes everything fake, manipulative, or draining from his life. When he stops talking, people start realizing how much his presence mattered. His absence becomes the loudest message he'll ever send. Because when a Sigma male goes silent, he's not retreating, he's rising. And by the time he speaks again, it's already too late for anyone to fix what they broke. Subscribe to UltraWise and comment below. My silence means power. Because a Sigma doesn't need to announce his revenge. His silence says it all. He stops explaining himself, and people lose access to his mind. When a Sigma male finally stops explaining himself, it's not arrogance, it's evolution. He's spent years trying to make people understand his motives, his silence, his choices, only to realize that most weren't listening to understand, but to judge, compare, or control. So he shuts the door. Not in anger, but in clarity, because the moment he stops explaining, he regains power over his time, energy, and peace. People used to depend on his explanations to keep access to him. They wanted to know what he was thinking, not because they cared, but because they feared losing control of the narrative. But once he goes quiet, that control disappears. The same people who once dismissed him now find themselves questioning everything he does. His unpredictability becomes intimidating, and his silence unbearable. In truth, the Sigma male doesn't owe anyone understanding. His path isn't up for public approval. When he walks away from pointless explanations, he's choosing to protect his mind from noise. He knows that no amount of reasoning will ever convince small minds to see a big picture. So, he focuses his energy where it matters. His growth, his goals, his next move. His silence isn't passive, it's a power play. Because when he no longer explains, people are forced to deal with their own assumptions. And most can't handle that kind of mirror. They start missing the version of him who tolerated confusion, the one who tried to make sense of chaos. But that version is gone. What remains is a man who no longer feels the need to justify himself. His peace comes from knowing who he is, not from proving it to anyone else. And that's the moment everything changes. Because once a Sigma male stops explaining, the world realizes they never truly knew him at all. He observes who panics and who disappears. When the Sigma male goes silent, it becomes a silent test of character, and few people pass it. His withdrawal isn't about isolation, it's about observation. He's not cutting anyone off yet. He's simply stepping back to see who respects his quiet and who can't survive without his constant attention. Silence reveals what words can. As the noise fades, patterns start to surface. Some people panic when he stops replying because their power depended on his reactions. They'll flood him with messages, create fake emergencies, or play the victim just to get a response. Others, the ones who were only around for convenience, quietly disappear. They were never connected to him, just to the benefits of being near him. His silence forces everyone to show their real loyalty. The Sigma male studies this shift carefully. He watches who checks in without needing anything, who gives him space with respect, and who tries to guilt him back into communication. He's not being cold. He's gathering information. His intuition sharpens in silence because people reveal their truest selves when they think they've lost access to yours. This observation phase is where his power grows. The Sigma learns who values him and who only valued what he provided. He doesn't confront, argue, or demand answers. He just watches, remembers, and adjusts. By the time he decides who stays and who goes, the decision is permanent. And here's what most people never realize. The Sigma doesn't need to announce who failed the test. His actions make it clear. Those who panicked learned that their manipulation no longer works. Those who disappeared confirmed they were never meant to stay. And the few who stayed calm and respectful, they earn his quiet loyalty, the kind that lasts. Because when a Sigma male goes silent, he isn't avoiding anyone, he's identifying everyone. He reclaims his energy by cutting off noise. When a Sigma male goes quiet, it's not an escape, it's a reset. For him, silence is not emptiness, it's clarity. Every conversation, every distraction, every draining relationship takes a small piece of his focus. And once he realizes how much of his energy has been wasted on things that don't move him forward, he begins cutting off the noise, ruthlessly. He's not doing it out of arrogance or bitterness. He's doing it because his mind runs deep, and constant interference slows it down. The Sigma thrives in focus, and noise is the enemy of focus. Whether it's people who talk without substance, environments full of drama, or habits that keep him mentally scattered, he starts removing them one by one. His silence becomes a filter for what deserves to stay in his life. As the world keeps screaming for attention, he learns to find strength in stillness. He stops explaining why he's unavailable or distant, because he knows not everyone will understand the value of peace. He no longer feels guilty for putting his phone on silent, missing events, or saying no. What others call isolation, he calls discipline. He knows that greatness is built in the quiet moments no one sees. During this phase, his energy shifts. Instead of being scattered across meaningless obligations, it becomes concentrated, directed fully toward his growth, his craft, his purpose. People around him start to notice the change, but can't quite explain it. He seems calmer, sharper, more centered. That's the effect of reclaimed energy. It shows without effort. The truth is, the Sigma male's silence is not absence, it's focus. He's not retreating from life. He's retreating from noise. Every hour spent in solitude sharpens his perception, strengthens his discipline, and deepens his confidence. And by the time he steps back into the world, he's 10 steps ahead of where he was when he left. Because when a Sigma male cuts off the noise, he doesn't lose anything. He gains back everything that matters: control, peace, and power. He lets his absence expose everyone's true intentions. When a Sigma male pulls away, his absence becomes the ultimate truth serum. It reveals what no amount of words or tests ever could. He doesn't need to confront anyone, ask questions, or start drama. His silence does it all for him. People's reactions to his disappearance show exactly where they stand, and he pays attention to every detail. Some people start reaching out, not out of care, but out of confusion. They want to know why their influence stopped working. Others grow distant instantly, revealing they were only present for what they could gain. A rare few respect the space, understanding that his quiet isn't a rejection, it's reflection. Those are the ones he keeps. For the Sigma, absence is a strategy. He understands that when you stop being accessible, people show their real intentions. Those who valued you will check in without demanding your energy. Those who only used you will move on to their next target. His silence filters everyone. No confrontation, no conflict, just natural selection through distance. What others mistake for coldness is actually clarity. He's not testing anyone out of insecurity. He's observing from detachment. He wants to see who values him when there's nothing to gain, who stays when the benefits fade, and who disappears the moment the spotlight shifts. This is how he maintains peace without words, by letting the world sort itself out. His absence doesn't punish, it exposes. It forces people to confront their true motives, their dependence, and their lack of authenticity. And when the Sigma returns, it's with full awareness of who deserves a seat at his table and who doesn't. Because while most people fear being forgotten, the Sigma male uses distance to remember who truly matters. He turns silence into strategy. When a Sigma male goes silent, it's never random, it's tactical. His quietness becomes a weapon, not of destruction, but of precision. Every pause, every delay in his response, every unread message has intention behind it. While others react impulsively, he's calculating outcomes, observing reactions, and using silence to gain leverage over chaos. Most people underestimate him because they mistake silence for surrender. They think he's done, defeated, or indifferent. But that's exactly what he wants them to think. The Sigma male knows that when you stop explaining and stop engaging, people start revealing themselves. They talk more, overcompensate, and expose the truth he was waiting for. His silence disarms manipulation and turns emotional pressure back on the source. This strategy gives him a psychological advantage. Instead of fighting for control in arguments or wasting energy trying to prove his point, he holds his ground in stillness. Silence shifts the dynamic. It forces others to face their own discomfort. The louder they get, the calmer he becomes. The more they demand a reaction, the more powerful his restraint feels. He's not trying to win by volume, he's winning by absence. He knows that every time he stays quiet, he learns more. Every emotional outburst around him becomes data, proof of who's stable and who's desperate for attention. His composure exposes everyone else's chaos. But silence isn't just observation, it's preparation. During these quiet phases, he's not retreating, he's refining. He's thinking, planning, strengthening his focus, and choosing what deserves a response when he finally decides to speak. That's why when he does break his silence, his words carry the weight of truth. No noise, no emotion, just clarity. To the Sigma, silence is power disguised as patience. It's how he keeps control in a world that thrives on reaction, and by mastering it, he ensures that when he finally moves, it's always with purpose, precision, and impact. He evolves in isolation, while others stay stuck. When Sigma male disappears, most people assume he's retreating or giving up, but that couldn't be further from the truth. His isolation isn't escape, it's evolution. While everyone else is distracted, chasing approval, and feeding off noise, he's quietly rebuilding himself behind the scenes. Every moment alone becomes a chance to grow sharper, stronger, and more self-awareness. Solitude is his environment for transformation. He studies, reflects, and refines his mindset without interruption. The world outside is too loud, too reactive, too dependent on validation to grow deeply. But in silence, he faces his fears, confronts his weaknesses, and turns pain into precision. He doesn't need an audience for his progress. His only competition is who he was yesterday. What makes his isolation powerful is what he does with it. Most people run from loneliness because it exposes their insecurities. The Sigma male walks straight into it and uses it as fuel. When others feel empty in silence, he finds clarity. When others crave attention, he craves mastery. His isolation becomes a training ground, mentally, emotionally, and strategically. And while people waste time explaining themselves, gossiping, or proving worth, he's outgrowing them quietly. He doesn't announce his plans, doesn't seek approval, and doesn't rush his timing. The work he does alone compounds over time. By the time the world sees him again, he's not the same person they once underestimated. He's evolved, while they stayed the same. The truth is, isolation exposes everyone. It reveals who needs distraction to feel alive and who can stand alone without losing direction. The Sigma male belongs to the second kind, the rare few who use solitude as momentum. His strength isn't built in front of others, it's built when no one's watching. That's why his silence always leads to elevation, while others fear being forgotten. He uses that very silence to become unforgettable. He returns, colder, sharper, and more focused. When the Sigma male reappears after silence, he's not coming back as the same man who left. His absence wasn't just distance, it was transformation. While others were busy speculating, doubting, or underestimating him, he was sharpening his mind, redefining his focus, and stripping away every weakness that once held him back. His return isn't loud. It's composed, deliberate, and unnervingly calm. People who once had easy access to him now feel the shift immediately. His energy is colder, not cruel, but controlled. The emotional warmth that once made him accessible is replaced by precision and boundaries. He listens less, observes more, and wastes no words. Every decision he makes now serves a purpose. There's no room for noise, no space for excuses, and no tolerance for manipulation. This colder version of him isn't bitterness, it's refinement. The Sigma male has learned that too much empathy invites exploitation, and too much openness attracts chaos. His silence taught him what distractions to avoid, what people to distance from, and what goals truly matter. Now, every action he takes comes from clarity, not impulse. Every move feels intentional, not reactive. And while others may interpret his detachment as arrogance, it's actually peace. He's no longer emotionally available to drama, guilt, or approval-seeking. He's learned to channel his focus inward, on mastery, purpose, and progress. This makes him intimidating to those who still need external validation to feel powerful. When he finally returns to the world, he's not looking for recognition. He's looking for execution. The people who once doubted him realized too late that his silence wasn't weakness, it was preparation. Because when a Sigma male disappears and comes back colder, sharper, and more focused, he's not seeking revenge. He's simply stepping into the version of himself that no one can reach anymore. His comeback is quiet, but unforgettable. When the Sigma male makes his comeback, there's no announcement, no dramatic reveal, and no validation-seeking post to prove what he's been doing. He just appears, calm, centered, and unrecognizably focused. The world that doubted him, ignored him, or underestimated him starts to realize something has changed. The energy is different. His silence wasn't retreat, it was reconstruction. He doesn't chase acknowledgement. He doesn't explain where he's been. He lets his results speak with a precision that words could never match. People notice it. The glow of purpose, the sharpened edge of discipline, the quiet confidence that comes only from surviving everything alone. His success feels effortless, not because it was easy, but because he never wasted energy proving himself while he was building it. What makes his return unforgettable isn't what he says, it's what he no longer entertains. The distractions that once drained him no longer exist in his world. He's not available for drama, validation, or empty connections. His standards rise, his circle shrinks, and his focus becomes lethal. Those who underestimated him now find themselves studying him, not because he flaunts his power, but because he embodies it. The Sigma male's comeback is silent, but seismic. It doesn't demand recognition, it commands it. People feel it in the way he moves, speaks, and carries himself. His composure, once mistaken for passivity, now radiates authority. He doesn't seek revenge on those who left. He simply becomes someone they could never reach again. He's the man who vanished to rebuild and returned to dominate without saying a word. That's what makes his comeback unforgettable. Not the noise, not the applause, just the undeniable realization that his silence was never weakness, it was strategy. When a Sigma male goes silent, it's not the end. It's the beginning of something greater. His silence is where transformation happens, where focus sharpens, and where power is reborn. He doesn't disappear to escape the world. He disappears to rebuild in ways no one sees coming. And when he returns, he's no longer seeking approval or recognition. He is the result. His actions speak, his presence commands, and his energy tells the story words never could. That's the difference between a man who talks about change and a man who becomes it. If this message hit home, subscribe to UltraWise, hit the like button, and turn on notifications, because your silence might just be your most powerful comeback. Comment below. My silence builds my power. That's the mindset of every Sigma who's done explaining and started evolving.